Good evening, viewers, or whatever time of day you are viewing this review. It is I, your fellow reviewer, Nick Yusofian, here with another movie review. This time, going with, quote, The Raven. Is, right? He watched The Raven. So, what happens when we have a truly legendary lineup of actors? Of course, Vincent Price stars as a magician. Peter Lorre. Yeah, I'm Peter Lorre. I am now officially a Raven. I'm looking towards you. I am looking towards you to help me restore to me so I can be Dr. Bello in human form. Jack Nicholson in his earliest roles, if not, I would say the earliest, and of course, Lon Chaney Jr. What do you get when you have a legendary star-studded lineup, true titans of the screen? You get a comedy, something that was supposed to be taken from weird tales, or tales of terror, or something like that. Or one of those, one of those comics or stories or something like that. And you get what is, of course, a 15-page. You get a 15-page short story. I read that in the 8th grade. I barely read Poe, outside the philosophy of furniture. That's my extent that I have with him. So it's like, what do you do? You make it into a comedy, and it's definitely a cult classic. That is what I can say. I have been through many movies so far. Gothic horror. I have seen a camp. I have seen absolute disturbingness that was totally inconsistent with Witchfinder General, and now this one. This movie is exactly what you get. It's a comedy. It's what's supposed to be a horror comedy, but the horror part is more of horses that are out of control, a possession of a coachman, Jack Nicholson, that is making horses go extremely fast, and we're going to brand something upon Price's character's daughter. That's really about it. This is indeed 100% more of a comedy, and it does feel like it is the plot and the shot composition, which Daniel Haller again does a great job as usual. You want the gothic elements, you want the dungeon, you want the rooms, you want the vaulted ceilings. You got all that. You've got every single one of that, and it's exactly what you expect. Alright, this movie is not exactly perfect by any means. It's more improv based. This was especially seen with Peter Lorre, whose English was pretty gosh darn phenomenal. Because he was born Laszlo something in Hungary in the 1910s, 1920s. He also started, whoever directed Metropolis also had a movie called M. Fritz Lang. But yeah, here he is just off the wall with the comebacks. It was like, I just can't think of them right now, but if you just Google them, like, hard to keep clean when they're down in a crypt, and I buried it's like my Lenore's down here. Where else? I was like, where else would she be? Just the one-liner and quips are what makes this movie. And of course, like when I say this movie was like a comic book, yeah, you can tell in between the way how the sets look, the shots where there's the camera that's up here and everyone else is down here. There are like a couple of different shots of that. Maybe just to show how big the space is, or just to give an idea of the conversations and just the ridiculousness occurring. That's what I think is happening, but it happens for a couple times, and the takes last about roughly 30 seconds. I'm always a sucker for long takes like that, so, and I'm like, alright, this is not that bad. It's pretty good. It's the improv and the special effects. Okay, they rotoscope some like lightning bolts and powers and stuff like that in. That's fine. This is a different version of the Corman Poe saga, if you will. You need a little comedy, so of course this one's going to stand out. But it is also kind of, I don't know, it's campy to such a degree that I noticed that it influenced Scooby Doo, just with the characters, the camera angles, the zoom in and outs, and and just everything else. Of course, the duel between Boris Karloff and Vincent Price, where they're like, there's a snake that Karloff throws and it becomes a necktie that Price manages to negate it, and daggers that Price manages to block, and a cannon that gets turned into absolutely nothing. And my personal favorite are a bunch of gargoyles that Scarabus summons, and Price's character, he just transforms them into adorable puppies. So, just to give you an idea of the kind of camp that we are dealing with here, and I'm like, well, yes, saw. It's like, I did laugh. Yes, I did laugh as loud as I could. Neighbors. So it's that, but it's also at the same time. So it's, you can either view it and laugh at it as it's hilarious or extremely juvenile that children can watch. It's like, all right then. There's like one swear word, so I don't know. It really wouldn't matter, but it's just like, could you show this to a kid? You could. Like an 8-year-old, they get a kick out of it because it's like an episode. It's like an episode of Scooby Doo. I wouldn't be surprised if this influenced Scooby Doo in a way with all the castles and magicians and everything else. So you know, I liked it to a point, but you know exactly what you're getting. It depends. Really, just depends on your mood. But yeah, you know, with it just being like a comic book adaptation. Yeah. The Raven itself was going to win an award for like best animal actor, and yeah, this was also like Jack Nicholson's best role. The Raven did not like Nicholson for whatever reason. Because every time it would be perched upon his like shoulder or something like that, it would leave a pile of poop. I'm like, I don't know why. I mean, I know ravens are smart, but you have three other actors. Well, two, including five, excuse me. So it's like, what's going on? Why does that raven not like him so much? Of course, there was, like I said, Peter Lorre like doing a lot of improv, which confused the heck out of Boris Karloff and Vincent Price. Price became accustomed to it, but Karloff, who was very old school, who went by the script, got annoyed about it. And you know, when they're having those duels on the chair, Karloff, who was in pain by this point, it was like, because he was getting older, because he had to carry Colin Clive in the movie in Frankenstein, and the director James Whale, I think, forced him to do it while wearing the heavy prosthetic makeup, the platform boots and everything, kind of messed with his back. So yeah, by then he's not doing that good here. Not performance wise, but just in his back would be in a lot of pain. So yeah, being risen up on the chair, suspended on wires and everything, and just, it didn't work out. It was like one of his last roles. I think like Black Sabbath and I think The Terror were the other ones. But anyway, I don't know. This movie's, it's fun. It is funny, but you have to be in the right mood for it. So it's like, is this one of the better ones? It's one of the weaker ones, but it's not bad. It's fine. But again, when you have It's like, I mean, the costumes are great. Don't get me wrong; they look fantastic because this movie takes place in early 1500s, 1505. You know, they look great. The productions are good. The production's freaking fantastic. Sets are great. You know, it's made on a smaller budget, and you have You have four true legends of horror. I mean, freaking Boris Karloff with Frankenstein. Freaking Vincent Price was going on right there. Peter Lorre with his bulging eyes. And Jack Nicholson will go all the way up to The Shining and more. That's what an impressive scope. So yeah, keep that in mind. What I said earlier, performances are great, but just the antics in there. Your mileage. This is one of those your mileage may vary movies. So yeah, keep that in mind when you watch The Raven.